Landry, and I'm the chair of the Inuvik Youth Center Society. I've been on the board as chair and vice chair for 3 years now, and during that time we've seen lots of changes happening at the youth center, and been involved with the various challenges that the center's faced over the last 3 years. The main challenge has to do, I think it's a three-part challenge. Firstly, staff. We have to be able to afford the staff to run the youth center, so it would be a funding challenge. Secondly, volunteer participation by getting active members of the board. We're now finally having some success. We have a strong and stable board, but for a while we didn't. And the transition of Inuvik is a problem because people get involved and then they disengage or they join other boards, and because there's a shortage of volunteers, I think that the youth center was suffering from the transition, and the transition of directors of the youth center or coordinators. People that were running the youth center were changing regularly, so it's difficult to maintain progress due to those changes. But we've addressed some of the problems. We've made the board a more positive working environment, and we've increased the funding, increased the salary of the coordinator, so we have a very competent coordinator right now. And yeah, people are starting to pay attention to the youth center.
Yeah, my name is Brooke Landry, and I'm the new director here at the youth center. Started 3 weeks ago, and there was a really quick adjustment period of sort of learning what the history of the center and you know, sort of getting my feet wet and getting a bearing of the lay of the land kind of thing. But I also had to start really quickly. I've been helping to organize this youth conference, which is coming up at the end of March, and we're organizing that with 8 other organizations here in town. And I've been spending time organizing this workshop series, which is coming up in February and March every Wednesday from 5 to 6. We'll be running educational workshops on topics like STIs and resume building and that kind of thing. I'm also involved in the day-to-day operation of the place, so getting to know some of the kids, and that's been probably the best part of my job so far, is being actually getting to interact a bit with the youth here.
I'm recording. Hi Mom, I'm on TV.
And also with the staff, and doing all the things which sort of need to happen in order to keep the center running. You know, fundraising and keeping the records and making sure that the heat is fixed and that kind of thing. So sort of a broad, every day is different. There's never any day which is the same as the last.
Hi Mom.
I've always really, I guess, preferred kids to adults. Like I just find that youth are really refreshing. They're really honest and they're open, and they're just so ready to meet you and to get to know what you're all about and share what they're all about. So I've really, really enjoyed so far just that openness with the youth here.
I'm recording.
Unfortunately, I have to spend a lot of the time in the office doing like administrative type stuff. So it's just going to take me a while, I think, to really get to know the specific youth who are using the center, and also to really honestly get to know what they need and how I can be a part of helping get that to them. So, and also it's a challenge to get sustainable funding, so we don't have to be always sort of in crisis mode where we're saying, okay, we're not going to be able to pay the next bills. How are we going to deal with this? I'd like to get some more stabilized funding, but that's a challenge.
If we didn't include the in-kind contributions, the cost to run the youth center, if it was dollar for dollar, would be $231,000 a year, which is a lot of money. Luckily, the town of Inuvik gives us support, and in actual dollars, the need is $150,000. So, in other words, $80,000 is donated in kind, whether it's the town of Inuvik or other companies or organizations, and support through the Lions Club is also key. Then the actual dollar amount we need to raise every year is $150,000 approximately. We have main funding through UMAC, which is a federal program, which is filtered through the Inuvialuit regional organization. However, we're now having to rely quite substantially on other funding from corporate groups to make up the difference for our budget. So we do get a chunk of funding from the government, but we're obviously always on the lookout for funding to make up the difference because it doesn't cover our operating needs.
My name is Douglas Sidachini, and I like to come to the youth center because it's fun and I could hang around here.
What's up, dogs? What's up?
Hi, Chelsea.
SUAANGAN Our Strength will be right back with more from the Inuvik Youth Center right here on APTN. Welcome back to SUAANGAN Our Strength and more from the Inuvik Youth Center right here on APTN.
The youth center serves anywhere from 18 and under. Lots of the kids like to come here because they're out from the cold. They get to hang out, play some pool, play some games, do some of the workshops that we offer. Play pool. You can play pool. We're open 6 days a week, mostly in the evenings, and we serve anywhere from 100 and under youth a night. Our average, I think, is around about 60, something like that.
In Inuvik, there are not that many things for the youth to do, although recently we have a recreation center. It's still not as open as the Inuvik Youth Center seems to be. It's a pay system. The Inuvik Youth Center is open 6 days a week till quite late. I think there's some kids that are disenchanted with the school system that simply aren't attending school. The Inuvik Youth Center caters to all the youth in Inuvik, ages from 7 or 8 to about 16 or 17 years of age. We have programmed activities every night of the week, ranging from arts and crafts to homework night, to games night. So those activities are used on a daily basis by the kids of Inuvik. So there's an obvious need. The kids like having a place to call their own and to get away. And I believe that RCMP statistics show that had we not, in the past when their youth center wasn't in existence, the kids found them other ways to amuse themselves as opposed to productive, structured things like arts and crafts and even attending a simple thing like a movie night or a film night.
Hi, my name is Kaya. I like to come here to play pool. It's fun and there's lots of stuff to do.
Hi, my name's HowieYoung, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Inuvik Youth Center Board. And I've been with them for about 1.5 years. The Youth Center is it's a volunteer role, but what I do in my regular job is I run the Inuvik Justice Committee, and that is we work with youth at risk. And through that, what we often do is we have youth that get in trouble with the law and have community service hours to do, or something where they need to pay back to the community for their actions. And what we've tried to do is give some opportunities for those youth and working off their community service hours and doing something positive within the community. As a board member, I've tried to do the little things. If we need something done, pick that up. If we need some accounting help or some tax information, or we've had some gaps in between coordinators, so I was able to pick up the pieces there. So I guess we all have certain skills, and just recognizing what needs to be done when is the type of thing that I try and do. It's a lot of work. I think what we're trying to do is improve the youth center in general, but also specifically in the amount of programming and the amount of things that we're able to offer, so we can bring in more kids to the center, improve the perception, improve the quality of the programming, the quality of the staff, and provide an all-around healthy environment for kids.
I'm Alex. I like to come to the youth center because it's lots of fun, play pool, hang out with my friends.
Is Monica here?
Yeah, and it's nowhere else to go in this little town. It's cold out too in winter time. Nothing else to do, keeps lots of kids out of trouble. Yeah.
To play pool. and watch movies.
When I started in 2004, it wasn't a very good reputation at all. I know I'd hear people complaining that they wouldn't send their kids there, that it's just a bunch of hooligans, and there isn't any positive things going on. I've heard people say there's drug dealing and there's different things. I didn't see that, but what I did see is when you do have kids sitting on the porch, sitting outside, it gives an impression that it's just kids hanging around and not doing anything, and we didn't have a whole lot of programming. So one of the aims that we've had is to improve literacy night, to improve healthy eating choices, to bring in, we've had speakers come in about sexually transmitted infections. We've had bullying presentations. We've been a part of just recently the Restorative Justice Week and Addictions Awareness Week. We brought in non-smoking speakers into the youth center, and we've been trying to do a butt out program where kids are actually taking to task to stop smoking. So by bringing in more programming and to improve the perception of the community in the newspapers, in interviews, and opportunities like this, I think we're showing the community that it's not just a bunch of kids wasting time, and that we're doing positive things, and that way we're able to bring in more kids from the community, and the more kids we're able to bring in, the more people realize that there are positive things going on.
My name is Chelsea, and I like to come to the youth center because I like to play the games. I'm sad when it's closed.
How come?
Because there's nowhere else to go.
The reason why in the past, historically, I think the center had closed was due to funding. I know that once we were able to stabilize the funding and actually have a little bit of money in the bank and have a stable coordinator, we were able to keep them open on a regular basis. So although we're not flush for cash by any stretch of imagination, we are not having to close the center down to save the remaining resources. We have enough to keep it open for now. But 3 or 4 weeks ago, we did close the center for a day when one of the youth vandalized the door. We wanted the other youth to know that there was going to be a consequence to the action of vandalizing the door, for example. That the center wasn't just going to be there to be, abused. It's something that the kids should take pride in, and the kids should look after themselves, because it is their center. And if they don't look after it, nobody's going to help them look after it. And Inuvik's a small town, so if people see the youth not looking after their center, they're not going to support the youth center. And the Inuvik Youth Center needs the support of people in Inuvik, and the territorial support and federal support to stay open.
Hi. Hello.
There's a variety of rules, everything from no swearing to obviously positive behavior and respect for each other. There's a list of rules in the youth center, and if the kids don't abide by them, there's a list of consequences for them to follow up to. But yeah, I do think it's important. An example that shows how important this youth center is that during Christmas Eve in 2005, 3 or 4 weeks ago, there were over 100 youth at the youth center. So where it's typically a family time, you mentioned surrogate parent, the youth center provided a place for all those kids on Christmas Eve. So that just shows how important it is.
Hi, my name is Tori. I like to come to the youth center to play pool, watch movies, and watch people playing pool. I like to come here because all my friends are here.
A community like Inuvik that has Inuvialuit, Gwich'in, and a lot of southern influences is very different than, say, Fort McPherson or Paulatuck, which maybe there's a lot more stability in the families and in the history of the population. So let's face it, we have families in this community that aren't that strong for various reasons, and there's certainly no finger pointing, but a lot of our kids come from those families that are struggling, and we give them some stability. This gives them somewhere to go, somewhere to feel safe. If we can improve the funding, and if we can improve programming, it's going to be a snowball effect, and we can build on the thing. This is where we are. This is what we want to do. If we can get that money, we can go here, and we can go here and here. And then it's going to allow other communities to give a template or a framework that they can build on.
SUAANGAN Our Strength will be right back with more from the Inuvik Youth Centre right here on APTN. Welcome back to SUAANGAN Our Strength and more from the Inuvik Youth Centre right here on APTN.
The pipeline, everybody talks about how the social issues are going to increase. Well, you know, there's the old saying, it takes a community to raise a child, but it also takes individuals to look after their own children and community neighbors to help with those kids. So, and we're that neighbor. You know, we're a babysitter, we're, you know, a teaching service, we're an education service. We're covering many roles, and I know that there's more kids who are getting structure out of coming to the youth center than if there wasn't one. And that's what's so important about us being able to have a facility that's stable, well-funded, well-staffed, and good programming, and then we can keep building on it. So the more we can expand, the more we can offer quality programming. If the changes in the community happen in a negative way that people are talking, then it's going to take foresight and insight by us and by the members of the community so that we can continue to build something where kids feel safe.
I'm going on a mission. I'm going to talk to Smarter Child.
What do you like coming to the youth center? You like coming here?
I like coming here because to go on MSN sometimes to play pool and to learn to play pool and to do crafts and everything and to have fun, to learn to do different stuff you can't do at home.
I don't think enough attention gets given to the youth. I know that people pay sort of lip service to the idea of the need to, you know, focus on the youth, but 3 or 4 weeks ago during the all candidates debate where the Member of Parliament for the Western Arctic was going into battle for, not one person asked questions related to, you know, what are people going to do for the youth. They were all very much sort of self-serving questions because the youth don't tend to vote. I understand that they're having to pander to everybody's sort of needs, desires, and wants to stay in power. I think hopefully they'll pay attention to the fact that organizations like the Inuvik Youth Centre and youth centres in the territories are very important, and that the communities realize this. As you can see, we're getting support from our community, but we need more sustainable funding. We cannot keep going to local businesses and asking for money all the time because that's going to wear thin and it's going to dry out. We do need somebody who's in power to pay attention, and we've been sending press releases and we've been trying to become a bit more political about this, and we'll continue to do so until we're heard. You know, I don't have kids myself, but for me it's the challenge of finding the money to keep the centre open that's exciting, and putting together a team to help do that. And that's great. I find that rewarding. I think the youth centre is an important place. I think you look inside. I'd like to see Inuvik take more interest in the community. If everybody in Inuvik spent 3 hours a month working with the Inuvik Youth Centre, we could have a world-class facility. But we need to see parental involvement. We can't have the youth centre just be a place where kids go. Parents need to stop by and take a look. And there needs to be the myth dispelled that the youth centre is a place where kids go that don't have parents. And therefore might be negative behavior children. This is a place where all kids go. It's a very positive environment. There's a wide range of things for kids to do. Right now we're setting up a wireless network of computers. BP Canada has donated 9 refurbished computers to the youth centre. We're going to wireless network them. So we're going to have more PC availability than the local library does. So we have a reading lounge. There's going to be monthly periodicals for the kids to read, Sports Illustrated for kids, things that kids like reading as opposed to, you know, necessarily books, but nevertheless practice for reading. Yeah, so I think the youth center is a terrific place, and I think if the community would sort of start standing up for it, we can only make it a better place.
It's definitely very clear to anyone who's sort of here, like you mentioned, at 6 o'clock when the doors open and all the kids come rushing in and they're banging on the window, you know, at 5 to 6. They really, you know, it's obviously a needed space, and we're the only ones. There are other organizations, you know, there's a pool they can go to, swim on Saturdays, and the library does some after school. Kids can go there as well, but like we're the only ones who run youth programs in the evening for, you know, that are open like that. So yeah, it's a hugely needed service, and I think it really provides, like, it's a really positive, warm environment, so youth can hang out with their friends, but they can also, they do it in an environment which is safe, and, you know, there's supervision, and we're also running activities. So I think that it's, for a lot of youth, they're getting a lot of things which they aren't necessarily getting in school or whatnot. And we're serving really like a large component of the Inuvik community here, so I think it's hugely needed.